you listen.
The government should talk to the superintendent, the representative, where they will say they will do they want it, do they want to do that one. Then they try and see about the road condition. Now my market in the bush, all of my business.
From the witness testimony today, I know I'm innocent. A police officer who goes to the bathroom for 7 different times, testifying lies, taking a car. It's senseless. No video evidence. No, wait until after the judgment. You don't have evidence to carry the protocol? Then you call the pope. Oh yeah, you know, I listen to Chamberlain, the jack kept the pope, what I do, 5 o'clock. Why are you keeping the pope there for? You listen.
The government should talk to the superintendent, the representative, where they will say they will do they want it, do they want to do that one. Then they try and see about the road condition. Now my market in the bush, all of my business, my black ball, some of my
where you say. Embarrass us under the common President Real regime. But since the government took over, we don't have freedom in real life. It's a big challenge for us as a motorcyclist. We've gone irrelevant to say we are failure or foreigner.
First of all, I'm a product of the University of Liberia. I have my first degree from there. I have my second degree from there. The University of Liberia is the state-owned institution, the highest institution of learning in this country.
So how does today make you feel, Councillor?
To make me feel good that at least the truth prevail. We have recognition, and all along I was on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
I mean, people call me and say, 10 million again? Well, what is that? What I did for this morning? What happened? I said, let me arrest you for 10 million. My sister, 10 million? I didn't do anything with 10 million. 10 million is what...
Good morning from Painesville. This is Key News, 45 minutes of trending news in Liberia, Africa, and other parts of the world. Today is the 5th of August, 2025, and this presentation this morning. My name is Daniel Theophilus Cole, presenting this edition of Key News. Let's bring you our first development here on this news presentation, where the Student Unification Party, SUP, a campus-based political party, has threatened to stage a mass protest if the legislature proceeds with plans to renovate the Capitol building before addressing the dilapidated condition of the University of Liberia. SUP noted that the government's priority should be to address the deplorable state of the state-owned university rather than upgrading lawmakers' office. SUP propaganda chairman Emmanuel Yan Pole expressed frustration that lawmakers are contemplating giving the Capitol building a facelift while UL remains in a deplorable condition that undermines effective learning. Classrooms are plugged with leaking roofs, broken chairs, missing doors and windows, peeling paints, and unusable bathroom, leaving students in a challenging academic environment. The SUP propaganda chairman stated that while the campus Does the Capitol Hill building sustain damages during the 2024 leadership impasse, with losses estimated at $8 million US? The decision to prioritize the legislative renovation over UL repairs demonstrates misplaced priorities by national leaders. The students group emphasized that the University of Liberia plays a critical role in shaping the country's future and that investing in its facility could benefit the nation for far more than cosmetic improvement to the government's office. Sub warned that if that will not mobilize students and supporters for a mass protest if the legislature fails to address the university's problem before moving ahead with plans to renovate the Capitol building.
And Mr. Rechekum, the self-imposed, the self-styled, the most arrogant speaker of the day, that have already allocated $8 million for the renovation or the ongoing renovation of the Capitol building. In the coming days, beginning today, the Capitol building will be a ground of catastrophic proportion, of revolutionary vibration, if this money cannot be remitted to renovating the University of Liberia. Let us say this: we want to be very emphatic and very clear to the government of Joseph Boycott to think that you will use state resources to renovate a building that was spread by an individual or members of the bloc that are still ongoing court trial, and you want to speed it because you want to use covert maneuvering to steal resources from the state in the need of renovating the Capitol building while the university stay intact. The Boycott's administration honor the auspices of the Speaker of the Federal Legislature in Rechekum will meet the revolutionary vibrancy of the Student Unification Party in the coming days. Want to assure Rechekum that in the coming days we will make Liberia to ensure Rechekum and members of the Federal Legislature that honor the generation and the watchful care of Chairman Sylvester Wheeler, that recklessness of administrative decadence and neglect will now be taken into consideration. We will now sit here and you renovate the legislature while the University of Liberia since 1952 is still in its archaic state information. We want to say this, that an attempt for you not to stop with immediate effect that quote-unquote secret dealing renovation that is ongoing at the legislature, you will meet the revolutionary vibrancy, intellectual proposal, basically revolutionary guerrilla tactics of the Student Unification Party. Mr. Rechekum must be aware and must be warned. We are not talking. Beginning today, the state will be consistently vibrated. Beginning today, the regime of Joseph Boycott will test the revolutionary resolve of the party, the masses of this country, for the administrative and political decadence and neglect that is perpetrated on the people of this country.
Hence, Emmanuel Yan there speaking from the campuses of the University of Liberia, though in a protest. The patriotic entrepreneurs of Liberia has lauded President Boakai for issuing Executive Order Number 151, which restricts the export of unprocessed rubber and promotes domestic industrialization. Patel says President Boakai's decision marks a bold step towards economic growth and job creation for Liberians. It can be recalled that on Friday, August 1, President Boakai issued Executive Order Number 151 in what seems to be a measure aimed at limiting the shipment of raw rubber and encouraging value addition within the country. The policy aims to spur the establishment of local factories that can process rubber into finished goods, thereby boosting industrial activity and reducing dependence on import. According to Patel Chairman Dominic Nimlin, the president's action fulfilled his campaign promises in the 2023 presidential and legislative elections to empower Liberians and strengthen the local economy. Nimla noted that for decades, companies such as Firestone have exported unprocessed rubber to lower prices and sold the finished products back to Liberia at significantly higher cost. Patel believes the new policy will shift the economic benefits from foreign entities to Liberians themselves. The pressure group comprising local businesses foresees a rise in manufacturing industries that will create more jobs, foster skills development, and retain wealth within the country. Patel reaffirmed its support for the president's industrialization agenda and pledged to work with the government in ensuring the success of the new policy for the benefit of all Liberians.
We want to take this time to give some gratitude to His Excellency President Joseph Yuma Boakai for issuing such executive order. For the past decade, Firestone been here, taking our raw material, giving nothing back to the country. Some of you can correct me. They take our raw material, carry to Senegal, process and send it across the world. We are into automobile and other things in Liberia. We only see the used tires coming back to Liberia written on the Firestone. Today, His Excellency President Joseph Yuma Boakai have stand on the ground of giving Liberia back to Liberians, like he said in his campaign speech, think Liberia, build Liberia, and love Liberia. And we are seeing that today by this executive order. And we are asking the Ministry of Commerce, who is the enforcer of this executive order, to implement to the letters. Because we don't want it to be a business as usual, where president comes with executive orders and then be swept on the carpet, like the way the liberalization policy have been given in black and white signed, but we don't see the implementation. This time around, we are taking the burden and giving it to the Commerce Minister, and we look for inclusive cooperation. The Liberian of businesses, the Chamber of Commerce, the Trade Union Congress of Liberia, Patel, to be in Cleveland, to be part of that exercise to make sure that the right thing happens in our country. We don't want where Seti brother was given the right to buy scrap, and no scrap should be exported out of Liberia, and the Liberian in the end receiving, we are not receiving anything. Only Seti brother is benefiting all of Liberia to the extent he reduced scrap price in Liberia, where in the region they're buying scrap for $450 US per ton. He is buying way cheaper than that, and his production are not correct. The steel rod being produced by Seti brother is not correct. The only thing we know that Seti brother is open business.
Dominic Nimlin is Patel boss there speaking during a press conference. Liberia is poised to serve as host of 40 African countries for this year's Maritime Conference slated for September 30th to October 4th, 2025. According to Liberia's representative to the International Maritime Organization, Ambassador Robert Pade, Liberia serving as host country for the conference is as a result of hard work on the international maritime scene. Ambassador Pade noted that being the highest due-paying member of the IMO helps place Liberia on a high pedestal with world superpowers in the maritime sector. He disclosed that Liberia currently holds the record of BKS registry topping Panama. Ambassador Pade noted that on the sideline of the conference, Liberia will seek investment from some of its visiting guests. He boasts that Liberia has been declared a white-list maritime country, which means Liberia is in compliance with international maritime laws and protocol.
And credible insurance companies. Our program, Liberia is a white-list maritime country. When you are declared by IMO as a white-list maritime country, ultimately means you conform to international laws. You adhere to the regulation guidelines. Remember, IMO job is to ensure maritime safety, security, and protection, And it's also through the regulations, through guidelines that we call global maritime instruments. Liberia is in clear compliance. And that's why we respect it, and that's why our program. So we are attracting vessels. Now cruise vessels are coming on and lining up, because when you are in the Liberian program, you're respected based on the quality of work that we do, based on the legal work that we do, that our country is respected because it works in line with international regulations, laws. As a country, well, I think pretty much you generate revenue from that. So part of the money that is allotted annually in your budget comes from maritime. I'm not very close with the numbers and stuff like that, because I'm into maritime diplomacy. But if you go to the LRE, or you go to the maritime office home base, they should be able to say to you in terms of the number. Those are public numbers, so you get revenue from that. You have a program that is growing up. Now I just told you about the blue economy that we are trying to focus on, which is very important. I think Liberia is a coastal country. Close to 40% of our country is all water resources. Now, what we're trying to do now is to see how best we can mobilize investment into the sector. Small watercraft, the hospitality industry, those are places that can give jobs to people. So if we harness our resources...
Employment on vessels. He noted that the focus now is to train more maritime practitioners before employment. The maritime sector is a professionalized sector that cannot incorporate novice. As such, training opportunities will be provided to prepare Liberians for the maritime job market.
This function is to ensure that we open doors to more young Liberians to go get training. Now, maritime is a very highly professional sector. You don't just send no scholars. You got to send people who train, who educate. So what we are focused on now as an institution in the government is to train many young people, beginning with LMT. I do know very well, and the office in Monrovia can speak to the authenticity, that enrollment for Liberia in the RMU, the Regional Maritime University, has increased. The reason we are doing that to ensure that we can train more Liberians and then get a commission on ship. You can send people on ships when they're not educated, when they don't understand the models of shipping. So first, our focus is to train more young Liberians. So the RMU give the opportunity to go to the LMTR, move the LMTR to to a level of higher calling, get more Liberians that train in different aspects of maritime affairs, and then get them on the ship. It's easy to get people on the ship. We have a lot of ship registered. Nothing wrong with sitting having conversation with ship owners and say, well, look, we want for every vessel to have at least 2-3 Liberians based on the size of the vessel. But you don't want to send people not educated.
Haynes Robert Bade, the speaking. The ambassador of RMO. Let's bring you this development here. The executive director of the National Commission on Disabilities, Samuel Dean, has responded to recent claims by the Center for Disability Rights Incorporated that his remarks at the 2025 United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities misrepresented the realities on the ground. It can be recalled that CEDRR Country Director Yasitol G. Dankwa criticized the NDC boss for contradicting the harsh reality faced by persons with disabilities in Liberia at the 2025 United Nations Convention and contradicted actual development within the Commission. CEDRR Director General alleged that Samuel Dean overstated the government's gain for disabilities community on the global stage. The CEDRR boss questioned the number and level of appointments given to persons with disability and criticized the Commission budget allocation, urging that more funds go directly towards service and accessibility. But in response, Samuel Dean clarified that the government's initially allocated $720 $20,000 US to the Commission. According to the NDC Executive Director, the amount represents the highest since the Commission was established in 2005. But the legislature reduced the amount by $200,000, leaving $520,000. Dean may think that his statement at the 2025 United Nations Convention on the Rights of People Living with Disabilities were accurate and accused CEDRI of not presenting a balanced view. According to Dean, 5 persons with disabilities are currently serving on government, and he dismissed Dankwa's suggestion that Noah Gibson's appointment at the National Transit Authority was insufficient. On budgetary expenditure, Samuel Dean disclosed that the Ministry of Finance had indicated the Commission's funds were primarily for administrative operation. However, Dean stressed that the NCD still support individuals and disability organizations through campaigns, hospital bill payments, school fees, and small business empowerment.
Case in point that our budget, for the first time in the history of the commission that was established in 2005, rose to almost $1 million. 720,000 is approximately $1 million. Unfortunately, when the money went from the executive to the legislature, they cut it by 200,000. So I think what the point was, the baseline, the bottom line, the final money that was allotted was 520,000. And my argument with them had been that no, it wasn't. The money was 720,000. And the legislature just did their own thing. Whatever they did, I'm not going to judge them. I was not there for whatever reason. They cut it down. But I think what happened was because they're an advocacy group, they chose not to be balanced, and I wanted the conversation balanced. And emerging advocacy group that just coming onto the scene, they always try to find something to talk about. You understand? So I think they decided that they were going to rebut what I said because they didn't meet their narrative.
Okay.
The budget, you see how much goes to a person with disability? 0.001, 50,000 of the 500,000, and it is so because according to Honorable Kafon, I made this seem clean to him, and I told him that we're about 1 million person, and $500,000 was an unrealistic budget. I've been pushing this. In fact, I was the first to start to push this, not the civil society, me. Before our budget even got reduced, when the budget went to the House, we wrote the PMAC jury, we wrote, who else did we write? The Speaker, and we also wrote Honorable Moi to see how they can use their wisdom and their professional value of discretion to improve the budget. Because when we met the budget in 2024, the budget was 250,000, about $250,000. We pushed it to almost $1 million. And then the 720, we were hoping that we reach to like at least $1.5 million. Excuse me. I was almost surprised it got cut by $200,000, which was like a surprise to everybody else. So I went to Kafon, the finance minister, and I told him, and I judged him by the same logic that I'm using now, and I told him, I was like, sir, but this budget is unrealistic, and by virtue of the fact that our people are on the street, our people are derelict, they need empowerment, and all the good stuff that an advocate will talk about. I talk about that.
Meanwhile, the executive director at the National Commission on Disabilities, Samuel Dean, revealed that the commission is shifting focus from charity to capacity building. He pointed to an ongoing empowerment project targeting 100 persons with disability in 5 countries. That's counties. Dean added that plans are underway for a nationwide disability census, a new disability law, accessibility enforcement, and a disability equity fund to secure benefits from concession agreements.
We have a census program coming up that because we want to do a disaggregated data, and you cannot have disability equity without data. Data is everything. How do we know how many girls with disability, boys, how many of them in school, how many of them have degrees, how many need employment, and so forth. So that's one of our flagship project. But this year, this empowerment project is what we're going to champion. The census, like I said, the disability census is something else. We're coming up with a law, or disability law, because the law here that established the National Commission on Disabilities, it's just but a flying paper of 2 sheets with 11 sections. We want to get something very solid where we'll monitor whatever organization are coming to the country for disabilities. We'll make sure that we have accessibility standard before people build buildings, or people who have already built buildings, to make sure that those buildings are retrofitted to make sure that everybody can access these buildings, and just a whole bunch of other stuff. Then we have something coming up to call Disability Equity Fund, where we're trying to hold multinationals and concessionaires feet to the fire that are exploiting our resources and getting so much, and Liberia is getting so little. And we're trying to see how best we can get persons with disability being incorporated. Even with the new mineral agreement that is going to be signed by ArcelorMittal, still want to make sure that persons with disabilities play an integral role in it, and they benefit from the trickle-down effect from that and every other concessions that have been exploiting our people for far too long. So we have great plans for persons with disability. That alone can alleviate poverty for persons with disability. That alone can get persons with disability off the street, because by then they will have had the fair share of the country's wealth. So those are the
Hence, Samuel Dean, the Executive Director at the National Commission on Disability, there speaking. And now to this development. The Liberia Political Centrism Movement or LPCM has welcomed President Joseph Boakai's recent decision to appoint Vice President Jeremiah Kuhn to lead an ad hoc committee to review the rising cost of goods and services across the country. The group says the move comes at a critical time when many Liberians, especially in rural and urban areas, are struggling under the weight of inflation, a weakening Liberian dollar, and a global supply shocks. But the centrist movement says it shouldn't stop there. In a press release issued Friday, the group called on the president to ensure the committee is more just a review body. They want it to be empowered to work with economists, the private sector, and key institutions to develop lasting market-based solutions. LPCM chairperson Councillor Kanyo Bagbala also emphasized the need for political inclusion on the committee and says involving independent economists, consumer advocates, and responsible opposition figures will build public trust and ensure that economic recovery plans are owned by all Liberians, not just one political side.
In times like these, it is important that the governors of the country are constantly thinking about how they can respond to the economic challenges that face the people. So it is in that light that the centrism movement welcomes President Boakai's establishment of this ad hoc committee to look at the rising prices. We all know times are hard. Basic commodity prices are increasing, transportation increasing, and it's only good that government is responsive. So I think it's a good effort. I think it's a welcoming effort. Vice President Kuhn, I think, is adequately situated within the corridors of power to be able to proactively lead such an endeavor. I only have one caveat. You know, when such endeavors are being undertaken, it shouldn't be just a government-centric, a party-centric, or a partisan approach. The government and Vice President Kuhn should go beyond the ambit of the Unity Party and the Unity Party-led government and bring on board critical voices, business people, people who are working within industries, even opposition voices who have alternative views about how these challenges can be resolved. We believe that is the best way we can forge a national path to deal with this vexing economy, especially in the wake of the withdrawal of U.S. aid funding. All of these things have an impact on the cost of living. So I think it's welcoming, but let's expand the boat. Let's bring more inclusion. And that's what the centrist movement stands for.
Hins Councillor Kanyo Bala there speaking. If you just joining us, as a reminder, you're listening to Key News, 45 minutes of trending news in Liberia, Africa, and other parts of the world. We are also live at www.knewsonline.com. On this presentation this morning, my name is Daniel Theophilus Cole. Let's bring you more development here on this news presentation. The Central Bank of Liberia has announced a new policy that sets uniform cash-out fees of 2% for all mobile money transactions across the country. The decision, which takes effect this August, applies to both Orange and Lone Star MTN, two of the country's largest GSM operators. For years, mobile money vendors have been caught in the middle of a quiet pricing war between the two companies. Lone Star had maintained a 1% cash-out rate, while Orange held on 2%. But when Orange eventually dropped to 1% to match Lone Star, many vendors said their profit dropped with it. The chairman of the National Street Vendors and Trash Card Dealers Association, Christopher S. Doe, speaking on a local radio station in Monrovia, lauded the decision of CBL accordingly. According to Doe, the reduction in fees left vendors with almost nothing to earn. With over 50,000 members, Chairman Doe said the association reached out to the central bank asking for a level playing field, and he says their call was now being answered. Recently, the bank, through a release, said the 2% rate will apply to all cash-out transactions, whether from the wallets or mobile money agent, on both Orange and Lone Star platform. The policy is also part of the government's wider plan to promote safer digital financial service and reduce Liberia's reliance on physical cash. Echoing his members' voices on Monday, August 4, 2025, the association, through its chairman, admitted that the new 2% rates gives them hope and will allow them to continue their business with dignity.
The 2% is a welcoming thing for the vendors, because past year by the Lone Star and the Orange were doing their own thing. Where do I mean? Lone Star was running on 3% while Orange was running on 1%. And because of that, Lone Star mobile money was going faster than the Orange mobile money. So if you do your survey on the street, you go to our vendors, for each time you go do cash out, they will tell you, for Orange money, they will tell you they don't have Orange money. For Lone Star, they were carrying on Lone Star money. At the end of the day, Lone Star felt affected from the process because they know they were losing customer from the 1% that Orange went to.
Okay.
Yes. So they decided to drop their percentage to 1%, which of course, it have a big blow to the vendors because we are the promoter of the mobile money remittances that are going on. Because now we are involved into the digital world now, talking about internet banking. Because moving with physical cash a day is risky. So after the 1% came about, it started affecting us. So our colleagues started to get to us as a leadership. Gentlemen, this is what happened. We will shut down our businesses and make sure that we will not do mobile money anymore. So what we did was, the guys wanted to get on the street. We said, no. We engage the central bank. If we engage the central bank, we hear from them what they will say. We decide to do the communication. Engage the central bank. When we engage the central bank, at the end of the day, the bank too listen to us. Then, as a recommendation made in the communication, the bank listened to us and they decided to invite us and we explain how it was affecting us. They both GSM company, they create the platform and we come and subscribe on the platform. They are not giving us money. We use our own physical cash on the platform. But they determine what come to us. So based on that, the central bank decided to come up with a 2% ratio that will balance the both for us. And the 2%, it came on a term After they came on the 2%, based on our survey, we noted our Kodis were very happy of that.
Hence, the spokesperson of the National Street Vendors and Trash Car Dealers Association of Liberia, they're speaking. His Christopher S. Doe. Liberia's culture ambassador Kekula Kamara has intensified a grassroots campaign aimed at educating citizens on modern financial integration. Kekula urged ordinary Liberians across the nation to embrace the Pan-African payment and settlement system and utilize formal banking institutions for cross-border transaction. Speaking to journalists during a nationwide culture engagement initiative, Ambassador Kekula Kamara underscored the urgent need for financial education through cultural platforms. He stressed that market women, petty traders, commercial motorcyclists, and even local transport operators must understand how to leverage commercial banks to simplify regional trade without traditional dependency on United States dollars. Ambassador Kamara further revealed that under the Pan-African framework now being rolled out in several African countries, Liberians will no longer need to exchange their local currency into US dollars to do business with neighboring economies such as Nigeria. He emphasized that many local business people have been operating at a disadvantage due to limited financial literacy. But the cultural outreach initiative has become a powerful educational tool to help change the reality. Let's bring you the voice of Kekula Kamara here on this news presentation.
How to get a loan from a commercial bank, how to repay. So that's the kind of education we are taking to the people. Also, the central bank wants you to know about the new project or the new program that is being instituted within the African countries. They call it the Pan-African Settlement Program. And you need to know that you don't need a US dollar now to go and buy goods from the West African countries and other Pan-African countries. All you need to do is to save your money at a commercial bank. You go to the commercial bank and tell them how much to transfer your account in the country where you're talking about cross-border using Liberian currency. So you don't need US dollar anymore. It gave people hard time to go. If you wanted to go buy your goods in Ivory Coast, you got to look for the US dollar. Go down there, change it to the CFA before you can buy. But right now, we are informing our Liberian people that look, all you need to do is save your money at a commercial bank, from the business community, from the marketeer, wheelbarrow, motorbike riders, truck drivers, just name it. All you need to do is to make sure you go to a particular bank, save your money there. Time for you to do the business, you go and transact. So it's as simple as. But we are doing here, you see us at the stadium. We're involving the youth, the footballers in this.
A concerned resident of Gokai Town in Bone County, Electoral District 5, John Bailey, has issued a public appeal to District Representative Eugene Colley from Swakoko District and Senator Prince Kemumoy and John Inkwe to fulfill campaign promises made to the people of the district and the county. Speaking to journalists over the weekend, Bailey said the lawmakers committed to improving road infrastructure and maintaining regular engagement with citizens, but Bailey alleged that the lawmakers are yet to demonstrate any meaningful action since assuming office. Bailey expressed disappointment over what he described as a growing disconnection between the elected officials and the constituents who supported them. According to Billy, the poor road condition remain a major problem and lack of basic services continue to affect the daily lives of residents. The concerned resident urged Representative Colley, Senator Moy, and Senator Boy Daspe to return to the district and begin delivering on the promises that earned them the trust and vote of the people. Let's bring you the voice of John Billy here on this news presentation.
The current leaders say we get our problem to him is still drinking.
Who?
Eugene Colley or Eugene Colley.
Okay.
He said drinking for whatever problem. But he told plain blank that the agreement was going to be open. But he said on Fini Billy. But the only thing I'm going to say now personally, all the promise they say to all, let it then come and fulfill that promise who in power presently. Mr. Boy, on Eugene Colley, on Moy, then they come fulfill that promise. I sure they will come in, but we got to encourage them and you got to be confronted. Okay.
He
didn't want the time he was running, he grabbed Razia for you. Anytime I will put my mission on the road, but say he win, he not take it battle, he not take it battle totally.
The president of Shatta Angels Football Club, Benita Ure, has described the club's latest season's performance in the Liberia Football Association Upper Women League as a regrettable experience. Benita Ure underscored the high expectation of the club in the 2024-2025 seasons, stating that Shatta Angels are the quality of players and technical staff to have ended as runner-up to the Determined Girls last season. Shatta Angel began the 2024-2025 seasons on a high note, going back and forth with the five-time champions, Determined Girls, on the league table, but lost track on their consistent wins, which ultimately dashed their hopes for the Upper Women League Championship. The Upper Women League club president believes the club has equipped with experience, foreign and local players with the necessary financial and technical support. Benita Ure said, with high expectation of ending the long wait for the Upper Women League Championship, falling short revealed a devastating season for the club. She believes the lack of coordination among the players was a key factor that affected the team performance.
I can look back at last season and just point what really went wrong. So I feel like it was a failure because of that, because we had everything. We had the players, we had the staff and everything, the resources. So for me, it was a very devastating season for me. I think that unity is very, very important for the entire team, the staff, the players, the administration. That's the focus for this season mainly. It's not that Shatta was lacking talent. Last season, we had about 8 players on the national team, on the senior national team, Liberian senior national team, and then we also have 2 Gambian players on their Gambian national team. So we were never lacking talent. That was not the... Well, I told him to unify the team. I told him to build future prospects that we could possibly sell in the coming year or years to make Shatta a bigger team, because money will make the team more attractive, sell players, build off whatever the team already has, as well as winning the league and winning the Orange Cup.
She's Benita Whitney Ure there speaking. And let's bring you this development here on this news presentation here on Cool 91.9 FM. President Boakai has reaffirmed the government's commitment to human rights, peace, transitional justice, and exclusive education. The Liberian leader believes that truth-telling and safer learning could help shift the minds of the people and the young generation. President Boakai's session were contained in a speech delivered on his behalf at the 35th anniversary of the massacre at the St. Lutheran Church during the weekend. Speaking on the president's behalf, the executive director of the Office of the Establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court, Councillor Jala Babu, disclosed that the president has reassured Liberians that the establishment of the court is non-negotiable. Let's bring you the voice of Jala Babu here on this news presentation on Cool 91.9 FM. President Boakai's Special Presidential Envoy on Tourism, Ambassador Christopher Hayes Onanuga, has called on young Liberians to embrace tourism as a means of job creation and national development. Speaking at the 2025 Liberia Technology Summit, Ambassador Onanuga said tourism should no longer be viewed only as a leisure industry, but as a powerful tool for economic growth. Let's bring you the voice of Ambassador Christopher Hayes Onanuga.
They couldn't have been done this precise without tourism. To cut this story short, tourism is the enabler of national growth. And because of that, we are the M&E of every government institution, be it big, large, small, and the private sector. In this case, we become the national enforcers of compliance to make sure that everything is done right in institutions, both private and non-private, so that the essence of tourism is seamless. It is on this note that the President of Liberia understands the value and importance of what tourism brings to the table in every nation where a political will allows it to prosper. That it provides 2.5 or 3 times the labor force of any country, bigger than the
Hence, Christopher Hayes Onanuga, the Special Presidential Envoy to President Joseph Boakai. On this note, let's bring you our international development here to climax this news presentation, where a boat carrying 154 migrants from Ethiopia capsized early Sunday off the coast of Yemen. The UN Migration Agency said only 12 people were rescued from the tragedy in the Gulf of Aden, with the remaining 142 passengers assumed dead. The head of the UN International Organization for Migration in Yemen, Adusato Esfo, said more than 68 bodies have so far been recovered, the majority of which were found on the shores of Khanfa in western Yemen. Well, join us at 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. for another presentation of Cape News. On behalf of the news department here at Cool 91.9 FM, my name is Daniel Theophilus Cole. I presented this edition of Cape News. Thanks for listening.